If only there was some connection between the Clintons and Epstein, and the long list of dead people who had dirt on the Clintons. Kyle Bass. Something's very wrong at HSBC. Chief Risk Officer for Asia Pacific to retire. So we have the CEO, the China Chief and the CRO for Asia all sacked, retiring for personal reasons in the same week. That's because they know the crash is coming and they want out of it before then. Why is it that when archaeologists find human remains, they're either male or female and none of the other 700 agendas? Says it all, really. Something extraordinary bad is about to happen. Huge Chinese military build-up filmed on Hong Kong border amid airport clashes. Large numbers of Chinese paramilitary forces have been filmed assembling just 30 kilometres, 18.6 miles from Hong Kong in the city of Shenzhen, as riot police clashed with protesters occupying the airport for a second day. The scuffles broke out in the evening between police and protesters after paramedics attempted to reach an injured man who protesters had detained on suspicion of being an undercover agent. Several police vehicles were also blocked by protesters and riot police moved in, pushing some protesters back and using pepper spray and batons at times. Demonstrators reacted by throwing bottles and other projectiles. A number of people were arrested. In footage of the clash shared around social media, protesters surrounded an armed officer who had forced a woman to the ground, grabbing his baton and beat him with it. The officer then drew his pistol and the protesters ran off. After a brief period, clearly in the day when flights were able to take off and land, the airport authorities suspended check-in services for departing flights on 4:30 p.m. Hong Kong time. Departing flights that had completed the process would continue to operate. Seems like the shit's hitting the fan all over the world as everybody realises we are slaves. FBI agents raid Jeffrey Epstein's Pedophile island in the Caribbean. Now, I thought, well, this is right, but this is dated 12th of August, so 2 days ago. Alright, let me just sort this out. A dozen FBI agents raided Jeffrey Epstein's Pedophile island on Monday morning, according to reports. Agents arrived on speedboats at the deceased fiance's private orgy island residence and were seen driving golf carts around the more than 70-acre grounds. The Daily Mail reported other officials with FBI lettering on clear display were later seen overlooking the crystal blue sea from the top of Epstein's remote luxury home off the coast of St. Thomas. The search comes after 2,000 pages of documents detailing the lurid allegations of the sexual abuse of underage girls were unsealed to the public on Friday, adding more fuel to the fire of the government case of sex trafficking against Epstein. An anonymous onlooker who shot video of the raid said he was on a boat charter with several guests when they observed the agents arriving at the island. We were enjoying lunch when we saw over a dozen people getting off their speedboats and landing on the island, he said. When we looked out harder, we could see the FBI logo on the backs of their shirts. It didn't take long for us to realise they must be conducting a raid of Epstein's house. The alleged victims of Epstein said the island was used as a place for sex with underage girls. Prosecutors also claimed he used his home in Manhattan and Palm Beach to entice girls and recruit minors and build a vast network of underage victims, the Washington Examiner reported. On Saturday, Bertie Burt News reported that Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell after he allegedly committed suicide by hanging. Epstein was charged with 6 trafficking-related charges last month. However, the New York Medical Examiner said further investigation is needed to confirm suicide as the cause of death. Reports say Epstein was not on suicide watch at the time of his death and that guards assigned to his unit were working extreme overtime shifts due to lack of staff. As usual, links in description. Woman 61 wearing a "I have dementia, please be patient" badge left with eye socket fracture after brutal attack. A man has now been arrested and he wants bleeding executing. Police have made an arrest after a woman who earned the praise of the Prime Minister as an ambassador for people living with Alzheimer's disease was brutally attacked in a lay-by. Joy Watson from Eccles, 61, was diagnosed 6 years ago and forced to give up her job as a carer. But due to her remarkable fortitude, she became a champion for people with dementia, giving lectures, raising awareness, teaching nursing students and showing local businesses how to help those with the condition. Her efforts earned the praise from the Prime Minister David Cameron. She was also made an honorary doctor of the University of Salford for her tireless work. But as reported in the Manchester Evening News, she was left with a bloody nose and a fracture to her eye socket after a thug punched her like a boxer last month in Yorkshire. She was attacked by a man after she asked him to stop battering his dog. So that just shows you, if you're an animal abuser, you'll abuse anyone and anything. Man wakes up after 12 years in vegetative state, reveals "I was aware of everything." Martin Pistros hates Barney, and it's no wonder why. For 12 years while he was in a coma, the doctors described as a vegetative state, nurses thinking that he couldn't see or hear anything, played endless reruns of Barney as he sat strapped into the wheelchair. But Martin wasn't the vegetative that the doctors said he was. In fact, he could see and hear everything. "I cannot even express to you how much I hated Barney," he recently told NPR. In the 1980s, Martin was a typical active youngster growing up in South Africa, but then aged 12, he came down with an illness that baffled doctors, and that eventually resulted in him losing his ability to move his limbs, then to make eye contact and finally to speak. His parents, Rodney and Joan Pistoris, were told that he was a vegetable and the best thing for them to do was to take him home and keep him comfortable until he died. Doctors don't know anything when it comes to that type of thing. Staff in charge of the UK's 14 billion foreign aid budget shared 1.75 million in bonuses last year, including £10,000 payments to senior civil servants. Department for International Development bonus rose 6% last year. A senior staff, including Director General Julia Chow, enjoyed £10,000 payout. Junior civil servants shared 1.15 million and another 243 for top mandarins. Staff in charge of doing the UK's 14 billion foreign aid budget were awarded bumper bonuses payments last year totaling 1.75 million. But wait a minute, if we've got 14 billion to just give away, then we could end poverty in the UK, we could end homelessness in the UK, we could end hunger in the UK. But we're run by a bunch of satanic paedophiles that ain't going to change things. The only time that's going to change is when we change it. The bonus handed out to among staff at the Department for International Developments were 6% higher last year than in the previous 12 months, with more than half its 2,436 staff being rewarded with extra cash. The rise in bonuses for DFID staff comes at a time where there is increasing pressure on the government to break away from a legally binding agreement to spend 0.7% of gross national income on overseas aid. Latest figures from DFID show that some senior staff enjoyed 10,000 payouts at the time of the department was run by Penny Mordaunt, who went on to become Defence Secretary in May. John O'Connell, Chief Executive of the Taxpayer Alliance, said families and businesses are struggling under the highest tax burden in 50 years, and they won't be pleased to read that so much of their hard-earned money is going towards bonuses instead of frontline services. Texas Democrat Mark Benavides goes down on 6 counts of human trafficking. The Goldwyn Report. There's breaking news coming out of San Antonio, Texas tonight, where a formerly powerful Democrat attorney, Mark Benavides, has been found guilty on 6 individual counts of human trafficking In a grotesque and sex-filled criminal conspiracy, Mark Benavides, a well-known Democrat who ran for the 186th District Court in 2017, was accused by federal law enforcement of trading his legal services as an attorney for sex with his clients and then recording those manipulative sex romps, according to local ABC affiliate KSAT 12 in San Antonio. The clients of Benavides were all criminals such as prostitutes and drug addicts, all of whom were granted his service by trial jury judges via court-appointed attorney programs. Benavides would then promise the women that if they allowed him to engage in exotic sex that sometimes included physical torture, that he would offer them a legitimate defense in the courtroom. Throughout the trial, San Antonio Police Department Detective Manuel Morales testified that during one of the search warrant executions at Benavides' home, they discovered an enormous treasure trove of digital video recordings with depicted Benavides in scenes of sexual gratification for the perverse attorney who forced his clients into such ordeals. Morales said police found 216 or 46 total pornographic DVDs inside of a filing cabinet in the home, and each of those contained videos of Hernandez and those female clients. Some of the content of the explicit videos had such graphic scenes that one of the female juniors fainted at the group of 12 left the courtroom on Tuesday after being forced to watch them. You can only bet that this top Texas Democrat Mark Benavides, who has been charged with this week in Texas on 6 counts of human trafficking, is part of those 24,500 sealed indictments around America. This might officially be the first Democrat in America charged on human trafficking charges, so more are likely to come since well-known Texas Dem Mark Benavides is going down for human trafficking. It also looks like these trafficking charges are very serious in nature that other Democrats will likely facing the coming weeks, as the human trafficking charge on Mark Benavides carries a charge of 25 to 99 years in federal prison. Investigation unveils 850,000 golden goodbye scandal under Theresa May's premiership. Links in description, because you can't see this. The writing's just too small, but I should have a new monitor coming soon, so that hopefully we'll sort it out. Cop who threw handcuffed man into lake and watched him drown gets only 10 days in jail for murder. A family is outraged after a cop responsible for the drowning death of their son was given a measly 10-day sentence. Vassell's MO. Nearly 2 years after Trooper Anthony Piercy was charged in the death of Brandon Ellingson, who drowned in the lake of the Ozarks and with his handcuffs cuffed behind his back, the case has been closed. Predictably, the offending officer is getting off with less than a slap on the wrist. 10 days for murder. Now, you've heard me bang on about this for a while, but developer of Gardasil say this HPV vaccine leads to no benefit, only harm from permanent injuries. HPV is not an infectious communicable disease. Cervical cancer is not a public health threat. While there are HPV mandates for school children, this vaccine was never tested on anyone under the age of 25, and they are recommending and mandating that this vaccine for children as young as 9. Could these mandates stem from the fact that the CDC holds a patent and they finance profit from this most damaging and very lucrative vaccine? The HPV vaccine was never developed to prevent cancer. It was developed and approved to prevent warts. Yes, you heard that right. Warts. Warts are not a public health threat, and yet parents are being marked to that their daughter get the 3 shots and that they will be protected from cervical cancer, which is an absolute lie. You've just heard, it does nothing. It has been scientifically shown that HPV, when treated early, does not develop into cancer. Now parents will have to a false sense of security, and their daughters won't get pap smears. There will be no early detection. The vaccine is devastating. 61,552 cases of vaccine injury from the HPV vaccine alone. 61,552 cases of vaccine injury. Monster who killed baby P, Jason Owen, is free to walk the streets after 2 years. Strolling in the sunshine as a free man. This is one of the 3 monsters who killed baby P. Jason Owen is back on the streets after serving just 2 years for a crime that horrified a nation. The sadistic 39-year-old was jailed over the death, abuse and torture of a 17-month-old. The judicial system is totally screwed. It is not worth anything. Antidepressants can raise the risk of suicide. Biggest ever review finds. Antidepressants can raise the risk of suicide. The biggest ever review has found that pharmaceutical companies were accused of failing to report side effects and even death linked to the drugs. In analysis of 70 trials of the most common antidepressant involving more than 18,000 people, found they did double the risk of suicide and aggressive behaviour in under 18s. Although a similar stark line was not seen in adults, the author of said misreporting of trial data could have led to serious underestimation of the harms. For years, families have claimed that antidepressant medication drove their loved ones to commit suicide, but have been continually dismissed by medical companies and doctors. What's the best? See, they're just covering the shit up again. Jeffrey Epstein's death was posted anonymously on the 4chan message board at least 40 minutes before it was officially announced on the news. In other words, they'd let it out before he died. Of course, he didn't die, he was smuggled away. Jeffrey Epstein's death was reported anonymously on the internet message board 40 minutes before it was officially announced. NYPD examiner whether a responder posted information about the paedophile's death on 4chan, but they determined it was not the source. The picture contained an image of Pepe, the green frog, that what has become commonly used by right-wing troll online. The circumstances of Epstein's death will not be revealed until the coroner's report is released. Jeffrey Epstein's death was reported anonymously on the internet message board 40 minutes before it was officially announced. The New York City Fire Department apprentice examined whether a responder called to the scene had posted about the paedophile's death on the 4chan message board prior to officials announcing it to the public. BuzzFeed News reported. FDNY spokesman claimed that officials determined this alleged information did not come from the fire department. A spokesman declined to provide further detail of the matter of the news outlet. European human rights chiefs ordered the British press not to reveal when terrorists are Muslims in crackdown on freedom of speech. Report out from the European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance blames increase in hate crimes and racism in UK on the worrying examples of intolerance of hate speech in newspapers. Claims Islamophobia raises when media reports when terrorism are Muslims. European human rights chiefs have told the British press it must not report when terrorists are Muslim. The recommendations came as part of the list of 23 meddling demands to Theresa May's government on how to run the media is in an alarming threat to foreign freedom of speech. The report drawn by the Council on Europe's Human Rights Watchdog blamed the recent increase in hate crime and racism in the UK on the worrying examples of intolerance and hate speech in the newspapers, online and even among politicians, although the research was done before the EU referendum campaign hadn't even begun. The suggestion sent to Downing Street urging the UK government to reform criminal law and freedom of the press, and in the brutal criticism of the British press, the report recommends ministers give more rigorous training to journalists. Yeah, we don't want them reporting anything that could, be bad for the government. Jeffrey Epstein had 301 Britons in his little black book, including Mick Jagger, Tony Blair, Richard Branson, FBI files revealed. Epstein kept 1,000 phone numbers and email addresses for famous names. He had 16 numbers for friend Prince Andrew, including several palace landlines, 18 numbers for Sarah Ferguson, who once had a $15,000 debt paid off by Epstein. Tony Blair, Sir Mick Jagger, Richard Branson and Naomi Campbell also listed. Jeffrey Epstein's little black book contained the names of 301 Britain's richest and most powerful paedophiles. Oh no, people it says, apparently, including Sir, we know that he's a pedo if it's a Sir, Mick Jagger, Tony Blair, we know he's a pedo, Richard Branson, well, we knew he was a Illuminati. Prince Andrew, we knew he was a pedo, and his former wife Sarah Ferguson, it was claimed today. Well, of course, whole family has to be involved in it because they're all a bunch of paedophiles. The American paedophile cultivated an extraordinary cache of more than 1,000 phone numbers and email addresses for hundreds of famous names across the Atlantic. Epstein is said to have written down 16 phone numbers for his friend Prince Andrew, including a mobile number and landlines for Sandringham and Balmoral, where the prince once invited him for a visit. Getting a little bit hot for Prince Andrew, isn't it? Shame, eh? Oh no. The Times. Woman dies as migrant forced at gunpoint to cross channel. Number 10 risks betrayal of UK, warns Hammond. Unelected people push Johnson towards no deal. Coogan talks court into shorter driving ban. Telegraph. Burko, I'll stop PM closing Parliament. You shouldn't even be there. The moment Hong Kong held its breath. Rising rail fares will push average costs of season ticket above £3,000. Tougher GCSEs blamed for putting students off English at A-level. Scientists unlock secret of gender within sperm. Fears over effects of ADHD drug on children's brain. Pothole plague plumbing new depths. Body found in jungle in, says Pip, somewhere I can't read. The Guardian. Commuters priced out to buy new hike in rail fares. Well, we need to stop travelling then to using the rail. We get a job locally. Not all this bullshit, because that's what one of their plans to get us keep travelling far away. That's why you go to uni, you go to a different town. Jungle search for Nora Querin finds her body. We're already paying the highest ticket prices in Europe to travel on overcrowded and understaffed trains. Metro. It's our Nora. Family agony as they identify the body of missing London teenager. City living bad as 20 fags a day. Scale of damage caused by air pollution exposed in shock report. She Too. Male model who claims Katy Perry abused him. The Scum. Ruse off the booze. Prince and ex-Fergie escape. Caribbears all. Really? Social media damaging kids. Mental health alert over apps. Sad Facebook. Daily Fail. What you must know before using your hands-free phone. Yeah, it's hands-free. As 1 million more are in work since Brexit vote, Britain job boom thanks to women. Sports Minister slams Wayne's 8 million betting firm deal. He's a multi-millionaire, it's not like he even needs it. Aye. Yasmin Albilly Brown, why we need to be more like Jade. What, thick as 2 short planks? Do you want a boy or a girl? New technique could allow parents to pick gender. Disgraceful. A-level results, universities criticised over admissions. I'll come back to that. Right, please storm Hong Kong airport. Back to that then. Deploy deeply unfair predicted grades system would be scrapped to help poorest students under radical action plan by Labour. It's just indoctrination in the universities anyway. It's propaganda indoctrination. Call for applications to be made after exam results day comes as reviews is launched into rise of unconditional offers. Falling number of taking A-level English needs urgent action. Secret barrister, I can see through Johnson's jail con. British heroes of the Sydney knife attack. Rudd raises Brexit jobs fears. PM looks forward to reaching great trade deal with the US. Back in love with the milkman. Why deliveries are back. Express. Feline lucky. Cat helped us win 1 million lotto. Its biggest boost for the kitty. Boris will force EU to cave in on Brexit deal. Campaigners brand 20% rise despicable as pensioners lose free TV licence. BBC plan hike and insult to over 85. Stop paying the TV licence. Call them up telling you don't watch their shit. You don't need it anymore. It's just propaganda brainwashing anyway. Family agony as missing Nora found dead in jungle. Waste of paper. True grit Brits. Cat wins lotto. Lucky you. I left mine out in the rain and it got very wet. Linda's so sexy at 60. Button it, you silly buggers. My pussy made me 1 million. There's others that could claim that as well. Mirror. The all-new crown. State pension minefield explained. Couples scratch card joy. 1 million in the kitty. Huge win after tip to the shop to get that dinner for their lucky cat shortcake. FT. Airport clash steers fears of Beijing move. US delays to China consumer goods tariffs. Sparks relief rally in equities. Levies held till December. Move to aid second seasonal shoppers. Laptop and phone spared. National Grid chief questions choice to cut hospital power during rear outage. And almost finally, always remember, safety first. If you fall, you need something to break your fall. When all your normie friends become conspiracy theories, I'm so proud of you. Girls will be girls. Cow! You donkey! My wife asked me to pass her lip balm. I gave her super glue by mistake. She's still not talking to me.